Good evening, everyone. My name is Fendleton, and I'm a butler, although now I'm retired. For the bulk of my career, I worked for the great Frederick Worthington III, or as I call him, Mr. W. I was in Mr. W's employ for a very long time, and he was considered an amateur sleuth of sorts. During my tenure, he got better and better and better. But there's evenings like this where I think back to some of his cases when I was in his employ. I remember one fondly. It was maybe the second or third case that he had that I like to call the mysterious death of Madame Marcardi. Of course, I know who did it, and I will tell you, swear to God, that in this mystery, the butler, yours truly, did not do it. So cross me out as a suspect. It all began in a stormy fall night, the murder that is. In the late 80s, or perhaps it was the early 90s, the main point about the time was that not everyone was carrying around a cell phone, which of course may play into the mystery. Throughout the next 5 nights, tonight through Saturday night, at the same time, 7:30, I'll be showing you scenes and evidence from that fateful night. You can ask questions in the comment section, and I may or may not answer them. For example, you could ask me, who did it? And I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to wait until Saturday. Speaking of Saturday, we're going to show all the episodes back to back in the afternoon, leading up to the finale at 7:30 Saturday night. But great news, just in case you missed one this week, or perhaps you want to watch it again, we're going to leave them live we're going to leave them on Facebook and YouTube, that is. Will not be live. I won't be back to answer comments. So if you want to have questions answered, you've got to do it while I'm live. So there's a temptation to join us each night at 7:30. So in this particular instance, as I said, it was in the late 80s or early 90s. Mr. W was having one of his famous dinner parties where he would invite very eccentric and eclectic people that from his travels or just people he wanted to get to meet. On this particular night, he had 5 guests. And then a special guest was what he called his entertainment. And that was an apparent psychic named Madame Marcardi. Well, she didn't turn out to be much of entertainment. Instead, she turned out to be a corpse. So let's jump right in and look at the scene of the crime. It was approximately 10 o'clock when Mr. W and his good friend, the Admiral, looked at the scene. I was the first to discover the body when I was sent to the room in which she was resting upstairs to check on her.
So, my friend, you're the medical expert. What is your opinion?
Was a medical expert in 10 years.
Come on, it's like riding a bike.
I haven't done that in decades either. But it appears she was stabbed in the back with the knife you see on the floor.
Indeed.
The wound is deep. Maybe a strong arm. From an angle, I would say the killer is right-handed. From the point of entry, I suspect it punctured her lung, and it was a rather agonizing demise. I believe she was at the table, reading her tarot cards, stabbed from behind, and then fell to the floor. Wait a moment. She's not wearing her black cloak.
I think you'll be entering the Tour de France very soon. Your expertise has not waned.
France, please. And adieu. While I examined the body, I couldn't help but notice that you were up to your usual sleuthing skills.
Oh, yes. And there is quite a lot to take in. One, the madam's broken watch, smashed as she hit the floor, I suspect, registering the time of death at 8:05 p.m. Or was it? 2, The letter W written in blood on a tarot card and blood on her right index finger. 3, a photo of a mother and an infant that appears to have been slipped under the door. An inscription on the back reads, "To my dearest Gina, I am so sorry. Love your mother, Regina."
Didn't the actress, Alexis, had a similar-sized photo to Madame Marcardi when she was doing her readings?
Yes, but there is one more thing I discovered. 4, a used pipe cleaner on the floor near the body.
A pipe cleaner?
Yes, my friend. But as I am fond of quoting from one of my favorite mystery movies, there are too many clues in this room. So, I think the most vital information might be in the madam's rather large bag that she kept closely to her all evening. Let's examine the contents.
Let's take a look at some of the evidence that Mr. W was referring to. This was the madam's tarot cards set up on the table. The tarot card of death figured prominently on the table. Perhaps she knew that death was coming. This was her smash watch registering 8:05 p.m. This was the tarot card with the letter W written in blood. This was the photo, a woman with a child, perhaps hers, perhaps not. And the used pipe cleaner. Now, besides the things in the room, my boss said that it was important to look at the contents of the madam's bag. So let's have a look. First, there was a box addressed to the madam from a Thomas T. Bivens. Next, there was a strange plastic gray cap that was in the bag, along with that giant envelope, also from Thomas Bivens to the madam. Private and confidential. There was a pen, and you'll figure out whose it is in another episode. There was also a comb. It wasn't the madam's. It was a personal item given to the madam, which you will see in another episode. So let's continue with the Admiral and my boss as they check out the scene of the crime.
Do you think the contents of the bag reveal anything?
Not clearly, but it is what is not in the bag that intrigues me most. And this W on the tarot card.
Well, perhaps the W was actually an M, and the card shifted when Madame Marcardi fell.
M as in what? Marcardi? And she killed herself when it's physically impossible? No. It was a clumsy attempt to frame the murder on yours truly.
As if you had anything to do with killing her. Well, then again, she was not very entertaining for your night's entertainment.
The framing attempt was pointless, as I never left the dining room tonight except to attend to Jenny's accident, and Madame Marcardi was seen after that. I never left again until Fendleton alerted us to come up here.
Of course.
And the pipe cleaner? You're the only one here who smokes a pipe.
I was never in this room. Perhaps some stranger broke into the house to steal something, and Regina caught him, or her, in the act.
Regina?
Oh, I mean, Madame Marcardi.
Relax, my dear friend. No, it definitely was not an intruder.
Well, what makes you so certain?
The murder weapon, the knife. I recognized it at once. It's one half of an ornate carving set located in the serving pantry just off the dining room. So you see.
No, I don't see. Frankly, I'm more concerned about the pipe cleaner.
The odds of an intruder carrying an antique ornate carving knife with them to commit a robbery are as slim as you actually being responsible for coming into this room, smoking a pipe, killing the madam, and discarding a pipe cleaner on the floor. No, my friend, this knife proves that the murderer is here in this house right now and is one of us.
Dun, 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 dun. So, let's take a look at that knife and the set that my boss thinks it belongs to. This was the knife. As you see, it does have a rather ornate handle. I'll do a close-up. And the boss was referring to a set that indeed was in the pantry that night, just off the dining room. And if you look, it looks like the knife does belong on the other end of that holder, along that you see with the fork. So, did someone take the knife from the pantry or not? I wanted to start things off juicy with the scene of the crime. But let's go back a few hours. The first guest to arrive was indeed the Admiral. The first murder that my boss solved was the unfortunate death of his beloved wife. And he had met the Admiral in Europe, Admiral Gerald Nesbeth, who helped him solve that crime. So they became fast friends. The Admiral was the first to arrive early that afternoon on the fateful night. He wanted to play some games of chess with my boss.
You want to move, Frederick? Oh, impressive. Impressive.
Checkmate,
What?
my queen.
Yes, but I could.
No, my bishop.
Victory number 4. I say, how do you do it?
I anticipate your every move. I approach chess like I approach solving a mystery. I stay one step ahead of my opponent, my old friend.
Do you need to say old? I believe good friend would suffice, or dear friend, or how about just friend?
Oh, after all we've been through.
So, tell me, who else is invited to tonight's dinner party? Your gatherings are never dull.
There will be 6 of us, the usual array of fascinating people whom I've wanted to meet but never had the pleasure until tonight. Though, of course, you are no stranger, nor is my special entertainment for tonight.
And what is it to be? Stripper? Drag queen?
Uh-huh.
Mime?
No, a one Madame Marcardi, an apparent psychic.
Madame Renee Marcardi?
Yes, you know her?
Never met. Only heard of her. But you don't believe in all that hogwash, do you?
No, not at all, but I have my own agenda for inviting her.
Oh, do I sense romance in the air?
Hardly. For now, I am content to be the busy widower. But how about you?
Oh, I am content to be the single man once jilted at the altar. So, what is your interest in this woman?
She may only cleverly pretend to be a psychic, but I believe her to be a shrewd businesswoman of sorts.
Sounds interesting.
As you have learned after 4 games of chess, my only trusted friend, it is foolish to try to one-up me.
Well, whatever's in store, I'm just happy to have another one of Nori's delicious 4-course meals.
Alas, Eleanor is not the cook tonight. One of her mentees, a Miss Belfour, is the substitute chef.
What? Well, I shall take my leave then.
Yeah, sadly, Miss Belfour called this morning and said Eleanor was ill.
Pray it wasn't food poisoning.
No, thank God it wasn't food poisoning. But yes, indeed, Nori, short for Eleanor, was not the cook for that fateful night's dinner. Instead, it was, as my boss mentioned, her mentee, Genevieve Belfour. Mr. W asked me to retrieve her from the kitchen so that she could be introduced to the Admiral. Let's have a look.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Worthington? Is something wrong?
No, not at all. I wanted you to meet one of my guests.
Admiral Gerald Nesbitt.
Genevieve Belfour. But just call me Jenny. Everyone does.
Well, Jenny, I look forward to your dinner. But tell me, how is dear Nori doing?
Nori?
Your exceptionally skilled mentor. I trusted she taught you well.
No worries, Jenny. The good Admiral here is very fond of Eleanor's cooking.
Oh, yes, of course. Eleanor, Nori, yes. I'm sure she'll be fine. I should get back to the kitchen. It was a pleasure meeting you, Admiral. I hope I don't disappoint.
Please, call me Gerald. I'm sure dinner will be delightful. Are you a professional chef?
This isn't an interview.
What? I can't get to know the staff?
I am a full-time chef when I can get the work, but in between jobs, I enjoy the outdoors, fresh air outside of the kitchen, little skiing, hiking, and the like.
Capital.
Again, Jenny, should you need any assistance, please just ask Fendleton.
Very good, sir.
She's years younger than Nori. Do you think the dinner will be any good?
For once, try not to be so cynical.
Yes, the Admiral was always quite cynical. So yes, tomorrow night, you will meet the rest of the dinner guests and the famous, but not for much longer, Madame Marcardi. In tonight's episode, we're going to meet all of the remaining characters, the guests of Mr. Worthington's dinner party. If you recall, last night we met my former boss, Mr. Worthington, or Mr. W as I call him, and his good friend, Admiral Gerald Nesbitt. And we also met the cook for the evening, who was not the regular cook for Mr. W. Eleanor is her name, or Nori for short, for everyone who knew her. However, she was fallen ill apparently, and a substitute cook, Jenny, was sent earlier the day to start preparing the meal. I want you to have another look at Jenny, one of the characters, before we meet all of the rest. And don't forget, as you watch these various scenes tonight, pay close attention, because we're only showing the snippets of the scenes in which vital information or clues are presented for you as your own amateur sleuths to solve the mystery. And the first guest to arrive late that afternoon was Senator Douglas Prant. He was a U.S. Senator from the state of Vermont. And this was the first time he was meeting my boss.
Well, Senator, would you like a drink? A martini, Cosmo, Manhattan?
Please call me Douglas. I want to enjoy a dinner party and not as a politician.
Here, here.
A Manhattan, please.
Fendleton.
I'll have one as well, Fendleton.
I am sure you might be wondering why I invited you to dinner.
I have heard of your legendary dinner parties, so I'm honored at the invitation. But is there a particular reason for the honor?
I have read a great deal about you, and I am pleased at some of the bills you have endorsed and their positive impacts on Vermont. I appreciate your positions.
Forgive me for being so bold, but what do my positions in Vermont have to do with a New Yorker?
Oh, a New Yorker with land holdings in most of the continental United States
I see.
and abroad. Frederick's holdings are rather like a risk board when someone has won.
Oh, he exaggerates.
Just don't play him in chess.
I hope you continue to have great success in Vermont, and I am so sorry your lovely wife couldn't be here as well.
Yes, she was very disappointed, but our children come first. With so much traveling we both do, we've made it a practice for one of us to be home with them when we can.
Yeah, that's quite a healthy approach to family life.
Rare to find a politician of such high moral standards.
The senator wanted to see the famous gardens that were located behind the house. As a storm was fast approaching, my boss, Mr. W., suggested that the admiral take the senator out to see the gardens, while Frederick, Mr. W., stayed behind to greet the next guest that would be arriving. That next guest came in the form of Countess Francesca Armand. She's an American, but she had married into British royalty. The Viscount, her husband, passed away, and you'll learn more about that during the night and throughout the next episodes. She met Frederick alone in the parlor.
Countess, it is so lovely to meet you face to face at last. My father spoke so highly of you.
Well, likewise. But please, you must learn to call me Francesca. Royalty and titles mean very little to me. I tend to avoid the public these days.
Then I am flattered that you accepted my invitation.
Of course. I thought it might bring me some comfort to revisit the estate where the Viscount and I had such wonderful visits before you were born.
Despite the years that have passed, I understand the grief that lingers when one loses a spouse.
Thank you, Frederick. You're as charming as your dear father, who, as you know, was a good friend to the Viscount. And how is your daughter?
Oh, she is managing quite well and attending school in Italy. She is becoming quite the fashionista, like her mother.
Brava for her. It is good to see you doing so well, and your daughter as well. I'm afraid I still suffer the wounds from the slings and arrows of the Viscount's passing.
I am so sorry, Francesca. The newspapers and tabloids were most unkind about the suicide.
You mean his murder?
Murder? I thought...
He may have taken his own life, but he was driven to it, I assure you.
Let us talk of more pleasant matters.
Yes, but if I could first see my room. The travel has given me a rather dreadful headache.
Of course, of course. Fendleton!
So Mr. W. summoned me to show the Countess to the room in which she'd be staying the night. When I got back downstairs, the doorbell rang, and the next guest arrived. The famous Hollywood actress, Alexis Dupree. I showed her into the parlor where the Admiral and the Senator had returned from their brief tour of the gardens as the storm had arrived. I'll say this for Miss Dupree. She might be a great actress, but throughout the entire evening, she never got my name once correct.
And my good friend, Admiral Gerald Nesbitt.
Charmed. Simply charmed.
Why, thank you, Gerald.
He's liable to chew her arm off. Miss Dupree, can Fendleton make you something to drink?
Oh, call me Alexis, dear heart. Fendelson, a Bloody Mary would be divine.
Another Manhattan Douglas?
Oh, no, thank you.
Watching your reputation, Senator?
Yes.
Did you know, gentlemen, that in addition to being a talented film star, that Miss Dupree is now a best-selling author?
Oh, please, Freddie, you embarrass me.
Frederick. And I didn't mean to embarrass you. I found your story fascinating.
What is it called?
I was left, and now I'm right.
Good heavens. It sounds like traffic directions.
Oh, Gerald, please.
Oh, that's all right, Freddie. I thought it was funny. Critics have said worse.
What's it about?
It's my autobiography, actually.
Autobiography with a title like that.
Of course.
But luckily, before our famous actress could go on with the tale of her autobiography, as she called it, the moment was saved by the arrival of the final guest for the night, the entertainment, as it were, and eventually the corpse, the mysterious Madame Marcardi. I brought her to the parlor, but before I could make the formal introduction, Mr. W took over.
Allow me, Pendleton, and please check on dinner. My dear guests, I am sorry to interrupt your conversation, but I want to introduce the last guest for tonight's dinner, who will no doubt entertain us all. Our special appetizer, so to speak, is none other than the famous psychic, Madame Marcardi. It seems you just beat the storm.
Well, of course I did, Mr. Worthington III. I could sense it coming and planned my arrival.
Oh, how clever.
Appetizer?
Yes, my friend. Madame Marcardi will be telling our fortunes before dinner.
Sounds exciting.
But what does that have to do with appetizers?
Oh, do stop thinking about your stomach. Jenny has promised an assortment of hors d'oeuvres for us while the madam works her magic.
It is not magic, Mr. Worthington III. It is my gift, eh?
My apologies.
Is something wrong, my dear girl?
No, no. I'm sorry. I feel I've seen you somewhere before.
Perhaps on the television, Johnny Carson?
Oh, what was I thinking? I was so excited to introduce you to the others. I need to introduce
There's
them.
no need for introductions. I already know all of your guests. I have seen them before I even entered into your house.
Oh, well, of course.
So, it was quite the bizarre few minutes with Madame Marcardi's entrance. But yours truly, Fenelton the butler, saved the day, and I arrived with the real appetizers, or hors d'oeuvres, as it were, that Jenny the cook had prepared. The Admiral was absolutely thrilled. More cocktails were served, and as I butlered the room, I was privy to several independent conversations. The madam, for the most part, stayed in a corner of the room, preparing for her psychic readings and telling the fortunes of Mr. W's guests.
Francesca, are you all right? Has your headache returned?
No, Frederick, I'm fine. I'm just surprised by your choice for entertainment.
I gather you don't hold much belief in the supernatural.
No, I do not. I believe Madame McCarty to be a fraud, and mark my words, you may regret having invited her here.
And perhaps, dear Countess, you are the one with the psychic gift.
A psychic. What do you make of that?
What?
Do you believe in all this psychic medium stuff?
Oh, well, I played one once, and in my research, I was impressed with those that I met.
Was she one?
Maybe that's it.
What is it?
Why, something about her seems so familiar.
Oh, Regina, we meet once again. What are the odds?
The fates, of course, are harsh. But I go by Renee now.
Changing your name has not changed you at all.
I thought we'd left all that behind, dear sweet Gerald.
Of course. What was I thinking? I'm just curious how you came to be invited here.
Mr. Worthington III attended a show I was doing while visiting his daughter Carrie at school.
Her name is Christy. Powers a little weak this evening?
Maybe it's best I leave.
Don't be ridiculous. I wouldn't want to cause a scene in front of our host.
Wait, you mean he doesn't know about our past?
Of course not. I doubt he would have invited us both had he known.
I don't know. He's a very crafty and cunning man.
Now, Gerald, not trying to get a preview, are you? We all want to participate.
On the contrary.
Yes, why don't you all gather around and take a seat and let us begin.
So one by one, the guests finished their hors d'oeuvres and their cocktails and sat around Madame Marcardi in a circle, and she got into her trance-like state. And that's where we will continue on tomorrow night with the readings, the fortune-telling of the mysterious Madame Marcardi.
Now, in order for me to foretell your future, I will need a personal item from you. Something I can hold in my hand to make a strong connection. So, who is bold enough to begin?
Well, I suppose I should be the first to get things started.
Capital idea, Frederick.
Will my comb do? I promise I haven't used it all day.
What does it need to be a psychic to see that?
Please, Admiral Nesbeth. I need everyone to remain silent, or perhaps you are a non-believer.
My old friend will remain silent.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I see a good year coming for you, Mr. Worthington III. You have made wise choices that will benefit you in the future.
That's it. That was cryptic enough to be pointless.
Yes, quiet, please.
This you're purchasing. Wait, what is it? Yes. Physical technology next week will lead to the fortune.
Only my accountant knows about that.
And your daughter will graduate magna cum laude.
That would be obvious for anyone who knows of her.
I hope you are pleased with your fortune, Mr. Worthington III.
Of course I am. Thank you, Madame Marcardi. But do I get my comb back?
Oh, all in good time. I shall keep it safe for now until my visit is over. Other signs may become apparent.
I don't doubt it.
Perhaps you would care to take a turn, Countess Armand? I know your husband was fond of the supernatural.
No one has to participate.
I am curious now, Frederick. Here is my ring, a present from my departed husband.
Yes, I do not commune with the dead, but I am happy to foretell your future.
So, in her trance-like state, Madame Marcardi proceeded to tell the future of the Countess, who was unimpressed. The Countess was even more unimpressed when, just like Mr. W.'s comb, the Madam did not return the ring to the Countess. Instead, she put the ring, like the comb, in her bag, promising that they would get the items back at the end of the night after Madame Marcardi would do yet another reading for dessert. Of course, we all know that never occurred. So next up was the Admiral. He too, like the Countess, was unimpressed. The Admiral's personal item was a box of matches that he used to light his pipe. The Madam told the Admiral that he would find new romance on the high seas. Again, the Admiral was unimpressed. Next up was the Senator.
Here is my pen, Madam Marcardi, and I will be needing it back.
Indeed. Senator Prant, you will continue to have a long career in the Senate. But wait, there's a dark cloud that looms. However, a chance to avoid danger will present itself, and you will succeed if you choose to follow it.
Oh, I assure you, I'll do anything to succeed.
Yes. And you will be able to ski in the coming season, and you will top your last downhill record.
A politician and an athlete.
Only the slopes and the occasional rock climbing.
No wonder you're so supportive of environmental protections.
Anything else? I'm always generous for any help I can receive.
It is clear to me that, yes, you will make the right choice, and all will be well. So, who is next?
I guess that just leaves me.
Again, no one is forced to participate.
Oh no, this is quite fun. As I told the senator, I played a psychic once.
Really? I will have to see that film.
Will a picture suffice, Madam Marcardi? I carry it with me everywhere.
Oh, yes, of course.
Madam Marcardi, are you all right?
Take it back.
I'm sorry. I thought...
No, please forgive me. I'm suddenly getting a strong sense of...
Can we get you something? Fendleton?
No. I just need to be alone for a while. I need to focus. My tarot cards are calling. They're reaching out. I require privacy removed from distraction.
Of course. Fendleton, please escort Madam Marcardi upstairs to what was my mother's sewing room.
So, being the dutiful butler that I was at the time, of course, I escorted Madame Marcardi up to the old sewing room, which had been converted into yet another guest room, many guest rooms on the upper level of Mr. W's rather large estate. The madam took out her tarot cards, plopped down her bag next to her, and started spreading them out on the table. She seemed very distressed. I returned to the parlor, and by now the storm was fully raging, so I decided to light a fire. As I lit the fire, I was nearby to Mr. W. and the Countess, who were having a private conversation.
Thank you, Fendleton. The fire will do nicely.
I have to speak my mind, Frederick, and express my concern of bringing that woman into your home.
I regret it if it has brought you this much concern, and I apologize. I thought it would be lighthearted fun.
You thought incorrectly, as you can see.
Is there something you're not sharing with me, Francesca?
It's not the right time or place. But can you assure me that the madam will not be staying the night?
No, she will not be. You and the Admiral are my only guests spending the night.
That is reassuring. The less time with Madame McCarty around, the better.
Oh, here's Jenny.
So Jenny walked into the parlor to announce that dinner would be served shortly, as scheduled at 6:30. Everybody raved to Jenny about her hors d'oeuvres. It was Jenny this and Jenny that, and everybody was just applauding her. Frankly, I think that Eleanor, the regular cook, her food is much better than Jenny's for sure. But that's just my personal opinion. So I took the guests to the dining room. but Mr. W stayed behind to have a chat with Jenny.
Jenny, Madame Marcardi is upstairs in the old sewing room. It's just to the right.
Yes, yes. Fendleton showed me earlier. Countess Armand is staying in the adjoining bedroom.
Yes, yes. Can you take Madame Marcardi some tea and see if she wants her dinner alone there?
But I have to serve.
No, Fendleton can manage. I'm worried about Madame Marcardi. I may not be psychic, but I am getting a sudden feeling of evil tonight.
It's the storm, sir. Nothing more, I'm sure.
Thank you, Jenny.
So finally, after sending Jenny to see the madam, Mr. W sat down at the dining table, and I started to serve the first course. And then Jenny returned to let us know that the madam wanted to be left alone and not have dinner, but she did want some tea. So as Jenny continued to serve the first course of dinner, I went upstairs to the old sewing room, and I brought Madame Marcardi her tea. By this point, she was alive and well, and she was looking over her tarot cards on the table. I set the tea down on the table. I asked her if she wanted anything else, but she dismissed me rather promptly. So do join us tomorrow night for all that transpired during dinner, including the mysterious death of Madame Marcardi.